Yo, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Tuck the Suck, man. I'm out here at Tuckytown Live. We about to do a run-through of the true jams of the decade. It's the 010s, y'all. Let's spell it out. 2010. Drop the 2. We in the 010s, y'all. We talking computer language, baby. We out here computer love hustling. I hope you love them as much as I do. I'm about to drop some real knowledge on you. Let's check them out.
Placing it them pines, boy.
1970s American cinema is so fetishized, you know, whether it be using the old, studio logo or having film grain, or an easy way is to have your film set in that time period. But this is the film of this past decade that I feel is truest to the spirit of what those movies were, where they were taking somewhat of a more novelistic approach to structure and character that this movie does really beautifully in telling a story that is sort of multi-generational, deals so much about circumstance and class and
sins of the father, all that sort of.
A steak dinner of a movie is what one of my friends referred to this film as, and I think it's true because it's very dense. It's a very dense experience. I haven't seen very many really aspire to do what this movie was doing. Ryan Gosling is also super hot. I mean, he's always hot, but at this point in particular, he was really this mysterious heartthrob. Drive was probably the most iconic of that period, although I think this is probably his best work. Yeah, Ryan Gosling's other good movie this decade was Only God Forgives.
I can't quite make a strong enough point for that one to be on this list.
Ryan Gosling, man, he's super hot, just really hot, sexy guy. He likes these bad boy sort of roles too, He's the one that most personifies the energy that he was giving out, in this time. I'm talking about lineage.
Talking about values, talking about familial bonds, bro.
You can't argue that he is not an attractive man. Pain and gain, bro. Yeah, this is a hard one to defend, man, because it's absolutely mean-spirited, and it treats a true crime, a terrible true crime event, and does the Saturday morning cartoon version of it. Extremely insensitive, but that's the point. Similar to the way that the Purge movies show societal
wish fulfillment and acting on pure impulse despite any social, moral,
or legal confines. This does the same thing, but it's dudes who actually did that. And, I feel like that says so much about the American dream. Really uses The Rock's comic instincts in a really dark way. Everything you love about the Michael Bay's filmmaking, but there's no big robots or anything. It's just people and just stupid. But it's absolutely demented. And like him or not, Michael Bay is an excellent Hollywood douchebag filmmaker. And so what better person to make
Great American morality tale about
people that are trapped in this Miami Victoria's Secret ad world of just greed and hedonism. And it's a movie that really shows the dark soul of America. Under the skin, you gotta give it to the skins. Punks versus skins, punks and skins. But this, I think this is actually kind of a punk rock science fiction movie because it does really reject
the sort of science fiction film trope of over-explaining all of its pseudoscience.
Very chilled out pace, very elusive narrative, it doesn't really care if you're following along or not, and I think that's cool. I think it makes sense that an alien movie should be alienating. I mean, Scarlett Johansson, divisive actress, but I think she's best in the sort of cyborg alien roles, of which, there are a cycle of films, and I think this is the best one. Or she's this blank presence, that's just this, total physical specimen, but you can see through her and kind of become her and start to wonder ourselves and what humans even are and what is the relationship to Earth and what is the relationship to family. and their bodies. You know, a totally socially relevant sort of story, which I think is a staple of good science fiction, you know, but doesn't have to necessarily be overbearing and obvious. Like, this is, you know, a statement on society, you know, that sort of thing. Gotta get a shout out to Ghost in the Shell. I mean, I'm talking cyberpunk worlds. I love cyberpunk. Regardless of what you think the ethnicity of a cyborg would be, let me just say that as a huge fan of cyberpunk, this just had the coolest world that, you know, I really wanted to live in. You know, way more so than like the Blade Runner movie or anything else that just had, you know, it just adopted a sort of vaporwave aesthetic. And I know it's a controversial choice. Not saying it's the best one, but I wanted to use my little platform here to say, show that movie some love, you know. And if you weren't ever planning on checking it out, maybe you should, because it's pretty dope. You know, if you're a fan of Cyberpunk. How you gonna hate on the only American movie this decade that gives Japanese legend Takashi Kitano his own character poster, for dang sakes? My girl Alita Battle Angel. Definitely gotta give a shout out, I hope, to the movie gods that, you know, they make sequels and more of these. I would watch these movies forever. Cause yeah, they're dope. I love Cyberpunk.
Spring break, spring break, spring break.
First, I'm not even like a crazy like Harmony Korine fanboy or anything.
This is his first legitimately great film. You know, this total pop culture amalgamation nightmare. You know, subverting Disney stars, creating a different narrative flow.
Liquid Time.
You know, a friend was mentioning how Pulp Fiction suddenly made nonlinear storytelling accessible. This one too just has a totally weird sense of narrative, but it's told in a pretty clear way. Rap video logic.
You know, just gobbled up youth culture, you know, bro?
The Britney Spears Every Time montage, definitely, you know, the centerpiece of the film, and that's sort of a defining cultural moment of the decade, I would say.
Every time I try to fly, I fall without my wings. I feel so small. I guess I need you, baby.
You know, and to have a movie built around a Skrillex song, like the weirdest thing you've ever heard. A friend of mine referenced the Skrillex song as a song that created the generational divide. And if that's the case, then this is the film that firmly plants the American flag on the beating pulse of the generational divide. Look at my shit! And sort of a piece with Spring Breakers is another pop culture dumpster fire. This one more a little bit about the dark side of pop nostalgia. Detention. You know, in a way it's actually like the ultimate teen movie. Joseph Kahn, who's ultra prolific music video director, you know, so many Britney Spears videos, so many iconic videos from Y2K sort of era. And this is just him, his sort of pop culture mashup, regurgitation, but him just like really letting loose on the pop culture music video style that, you know, in a lot of ways he helped define. It's really fun, like hyperkinetic, like neo slasher. It takes what Scream was, you know, 20 years ago, and does the, you know, the 010 twist to it. Way more music video, way more self-referential, way more metatextual, you know, and adds in like time travel. Dane Cook, really progressive filmmaking, I think. You know, Joseph Kahn has this visual style, so the whole thing is this MTV nightmare. We going upstream now, buddy. An extremely inspiring, independent, low-budget film. It's really just about the filmmaking on display. Pretentious in a good way, in a fun way. You know, it strives to be art. It so is delivering itself as cinema, creating a challenging sort of, I mean, look at that, the logo for the movie, like, yeah, it's hard to decipher, and but it does it with conviction, you know, and that's what's important, because I feel like when there's trust, you know, I feel like just having something be cryptic is one thing, but when you trust the filmmaker and you know that they're taking you to an interesting place, you know, I'm happy to go there. It's totally non-commercial in every sense of the word. A huge swing for an indie movie, and that's what's great. That's what's beautiful about independent cinema, is that it's something that challenges the mainstream. You know, nowadays I feel like the having like a Sundance movie or an indie movie is just sort of the gateway into making, you know, a superhero movie, which is fine, you know, and there's great work that's done and all that stuff. But this is a movie that's just wants to be an independent film because that's the context that it should be read in, and that's the art form that it's trying to push. It has its little science fiction undertones, but more than anything, it's a relationship movie. And as a relationship movie, it's extremely sincere and heartfelt, relating through their shared trauma, you know, and trying to rebuild their lives after it. It comes as no surprise that I love ambitious filmmaking, and I like when someone just has the conviction to, you know, swing for the fences, so to speak. And this is a film that absolutely does it. And it's like, where do you go from here? Because Shane Carruth is like this huge figure in independent cinema. You know, he has his movie that never got made, A Topiary, which, you know, the script has now entered cult status. So, you know, a few years ago there was that documentary about Jodorowsky's Dune that never was, but a lot of people knew about it, and it shows that it actually sort of cast a shadow on science fiction movies and influenced, you know, tons of really amazing films. I think Shane Carruth's work, and especially his unmade movie A Topiary, is going to be sort of like that. I can already kind of see little inklings of that story appearing in other kind of indie science fiction, you know, trip out movies. People think I'm joking when I talk about how awesome this movie is. But in hindsight, this is the best action movie, you know, and no disrespect to John Wick or anything like that, but like, this has the best action storytelling, most, you know, efficient and clearest action storytelling, I think. You know, and I call it an action movie just because of the propulsive energy that it has, you know. It's very much like an action movie. This is big screen spectacle at its finest, I think. Like, this is absolutely cinema. I mean, we know this is, you know, a pop product, but as far as, you know, creating sounds and images that really, really move you, like, this is kind of the best special effect is the human body, you know? Whoa. Wow, yeah. It's just like some pretty intoxicating moves here, everybody. And these movies really do keep alive the spirit of the dance film, you know, which is a beautiful art form. And it's like that mixed with the dubstep. Much as I like Gaspar Noé, and I liked Climax, but like really Climax has nothing in terms of just like the crazy dancing and cinematography. Like this has it beat for sure. And it's just fun. So like, I dare you to watch these movies and not like start dancing around. Yeah. I love Terrence Malick. He's another guy who I thought, you know, it's another pretentious in a good way sort of filmmaker. You know, he's somebody who has his own language, you know, it's often, you know, mimicked, but he's the originator, you know, he does it the best. And this sort of, you know, later cycle of films he's been doing are, like, intensely personal. You know, as a fan, it's fun to see him reflect, you know, on his childhood. But it's really just about everybody's childhood, you know, it's about the dinosaurs and how they experience loss. It's like a thesis film for Terrence Malick's sort of style of experiential, poetic filmmaking. It's extremely ambitious and artsy and pretentious and ridiculous, but I think it's all in service of creating a really singular experience. And this one, to me, was a journey through history. It's a movie that feels like reading someone's diary, and while simultaneously going to the museum and being in class, you know, being in church, and it's just everything, all just one like crazy 3-hour experience.
The universality of loss.
This is absolutely the 2001 A Space Odyssey of my movie-going generation, but I don't quite think it has the same public reaction, you know, whereas I think Tree of Life is definitely appreciated by, you know, critics and stuff. 2001 was such a pop sensation. people's grandparents, like that's their favorite movie. You gotta admire a movie that, you know, asks the question,
what is the meaning of life, you know?
Take a little slight detour here. Yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to talk about China's, increasing presence on the global film market, and especially when it comes to U.S. co-productions. Just like look at movies like Skyscraper or The Meg if you want to see China's influence on U.S. blockbusters. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. I wish the UN was a film studio. I'm just saying this is the best product. I feel like this is the most successful cultural cross-pollination of two cultural sensibilities. A cool American special effects monster movie and historical epic, and these monsters look so dope. As much as I love Billy Lynn, like this was the best 3D storytelling for sure. Love these monster boys. There's stuff about whitewashing and all of that, but they're supposed to be these Anglo dudes, like out of their element, exploring the world. And I will just say, it's so shameful, Matt Damon saying negative things about this movie, joking about it at the Oscars, discouragingly. Like, shame on you. Like, this is the one that could have changed everything. This is the one that should have brought the world together. I think it's an awesome, multicultural event film. It's weird because this is the era that Game of Thrones and stuff was such a popular thing, and this seems so much cooler. But I don't know. It didn't connect really, I guess, and it was a butt of a joke. It was about whitewashing and that sort of thing, and I think it's so unfortunate because there's such beautiful work. This is a Chinese visionary filmmaker, getting to make this gazillion-dollar budget, U.S. co-production. It's like, this movie should have changed the world.
Remember all my keywords here, folks. Empathy, humanity, visionary, ambitious, pretentious, in a good way.
Just could have really been used as a teaching tool for shame on you, Matt Damon. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Millions and gazillions of dollars spent so well serving the greater good. These fucking monsters! These monsters are so scary.
Shadow from this year was probably a better film, but this one was the
one that got away.
Shame on you, Matt Damon! And this is another one where I don't know if it's a no-brainer or not. If this is obviously a gem, but a movie that's about the characters. It's like this trailer already has a bunch of 4 stars. I don't know if it might be obvious that this one's a great one, but it's the horror is really built out of the story and characters, which is what I love the most about it, because it's totally ridiculous. You go back and you watch it again and you see just all the genre trappings and just kind of ridiculous stuff, but it's told in such a humane way with people that you grow to know through kind of suffering with them. But if we're being real, then I gotta hand it to my main pick, Unfriended. Sort of found footage deal, is such this genre, and especially of low budget horror movies, and I feel like this is the one that does it the best. This one had the best concept of just like a Skype hangout chamber piece, essentially is what it is. And when they filmed it, they were all in just different rooms in the same house, and so they would try to time it out and try to do the whole thing in real time, and that's really awesome creative filmmaking to me. But yeah, and just using glitching and data moshing to a scary effect is just super brilliant, and it just really utilizes its low budget concept to its advantage. And that's the Blumhouse thing, is that they're low budget movies, but they're all conceptual. They always got these great conceptual hooks. I think Blumhouse is definitely one of the best Hollywood studios making the most important movies, and they've had a great decade. Super low budget but progressive genre filmmaking. And of course, Get Out, is probably their most important film of the decade, but you don't need me to tell you that, but this one is one you might need a little more of a push. But yeah, to me, Blumhouse just really has the spirit of just the Roger Corman, Samuel Z. Arkoff, all those guys that were just doing low budget genre fare. I think Jason Blum has just worked himself into this really amazing position where when He can make prestige movies, and have them and have Universal distribute them. But that also, that leaves a bunch of room for the 30 other low-budget genre movies that he makes in between all those, which I think are of equal importance. This one, I think, chief among them. I loved a bunch more movies, but I just either don't have the time or am too stupid to articulate. Boom, I got my little guy here, my little boov, because I'm the #1 fan of this film, and I think this is, my #1 pick. Best film of the decade. It's a little DreamWorks animated movie called Home that, for some reason, I don't think really clicked with the public, but for some reason this wasn't, wasn't the machine that like Frozen or Madagascar or Minions or something like that. This is the anti-Minions, where Minions has terrible values. This movie is all about gentrification and displacement and fear of the other, but it's all done in a very non-preachy, searingly human way. An awesome teaching tool for empathy, and curiously just didn't get the acclaim or recognition I feel that it deserves. It's definitely the best animated film of the decade. The one that's the most human.
Yeah, we got the banger soundtrack. We got Rihanna and J-Lo both doing voices and mother and daughter, and we got Charlie XCX. This is a banger. Boing, boing, boing.
Make sure that your heartbeat beats with the rhythm. The night time is the right time. And it's beautiful. It brings a tear to my eye. I can't help but cry every time I watch this movie. We have another chance to fly.
The novel from which the film is based is actually really good too, and this movie is such a small, little chunk of the adaptation. It's very just distilled, the core idea, but the novel really is expansive and paints this whole, bizarro world that might just look like the one you're living in.
Oh, you hate to think about it, but this is real as you and me. All shout out to all my boov brothers and sisters and daddies and mama. Yo, that's all the knowledge I got for you right now, but stay tuned for the next decade. Alright? I'm gonna see you there. I'm gonna see you at the movies, but I know I didn't see all the movies. So tell me what you think, Yo, leave me a message in the comments. Be like, Tut, check this flick out. And you know what? I will, with an open mind and an open heart. And with that, I want to say, smash the like, little thumbs up button, rate, review, subscribe. You seeing me out here. Here's to another great millennium. But this is real.